Are you someone who really struggles with perfectionism and maybe the need to control things? Can totally relate to those. And in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you some perspectives from my life that have helped me work through these things. Disclaimer: any of the guidance offered by the podcast host, myself, or the podcast guests is our own guidance. We are not liable for any of the actions the podcast listener decides to do. Welcome back to the podcast, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So, perfectionism and a need to control is something in my life that has kind of impacted me emotionally, caused a lot of stress, anxiety, and sometimes just being quite depressed, in all honesty, when things aren't going to plan or things are just piled up. What it's done for me is, and maybe you can relate, is it's built so much like tension inside of me of like, it didn't go to plan or what's going to happen next, that actually I got in so much fight or flight, as it's known as, whereby my like blood was pumping fast. I was like thinking of so much that actually I shut down. I got exhausted and I needed a lot of rest. Maybe you can relate to this. Well, I wanted to share a spin on this because I've talked about perfectionism on this podcast before, and I've kind of gone through some experiences and learnings and teachings in the last year that have kind of, I'm in line with what I've said before, but I've also would add a little bit more to what I've said before. And in this space and time right now, I'm feeling awesome. I'm creating my podcast. I'm doing what I love. I'm working with someone amazing I admire. I've got a beautiful relationship, and many, many more things are in my life, and I'm very grateful for it. And when I've worked through difficulties, I always like to share what I've gone through because I think it's really important to help other people. And I even documented videos last year when I was in a really down place, and I can look back at them and I will not delete them because I needed to look at those. It's on my YouTube channel, not the podcast, as a different, if you want to check them out, on my men's mental health journey, because it's really important, I feel, to like document our journey or my journey so that I can look back and reference and see the progress I've made, but also learn lessons along the way. Now, in terms of control and perfectionism, what I've learned is actually, as a human being and who we are, it is perfect. We are perfect. And what I mean by that, in a sense, is like, you are perfect as a human being because you exist, you're here. But I shouldn't be aiming for creating perfect actions and doing everything 100% correct, because guess what? No one does. The people who are the best at what they do in the world, whether it's a sport, whether it's a musician, whether it's some kind of business person, even the top of the top, they will make mistakes. But as human beings, I believe I am perfect, not in the sense that I'm better than anyone. No one's better than anyone else. I don't believe that. But like, for existing, the way I am is perfect. The way you are is perfect. Now, it's not saying you need to stay there. You don't need to do anything else. That's not what I'm saying. But by the pure fact we're alive, it is perfect where you are. Now, I don't believe, obviously, in some of the things people do in this world, and there's some nasty things. But I also, and you can agree with me and disagree, but I also believe that things that have happened in my life have been created perfectly for me to evolve. That whether I choose to engage in the lessons is my choice. I know this episode is always going to cause some controversy, and you can take it. And I'm not like condemning some of the horrific things that happen in life. We need to help each other, work through our traumas. And as humanity, there can be some very negative things happening, right? But I believe everything in my life personally has been perfect, whether I was heartbroken, whether I was mugged, which has happened, whether I lost a large amount of money, whether I lost a job. I've had all these things, right? Whether I lost relatives, all of those things have been perfect because they led me to the person I am now. They've led me to have lessons and growth opportunity. I'm not saying like emotionally, like check out, man. Like, I need to feel grief. I need to feel sad. Like, I felt all those things. And this is like a higher level of evolution. Like, I've learned from some of these great spiritual teachers, people, but it's like when you can start seeing that life is happening for you, even though it can be tough in the moment, and you can take the lessons, because things can happen again and again. Like, you could, like, I, for example, kept going in the same dating situation until I found my current amazing girlfriend, right? I would keep like getting attracted
to women who sometimes, well, not always, but sometimes were like avoidant, all these kind of things, or like they were just very mixed in their emotions. But that was perfect because it was teaching me that I needed to go internally and actually be in tune with my own emotions, because they would be so like all over the place emotionally. Like they'd be like, I'm really into you. Oh, suddenly I'm not, right? Was me needing to, that was a perfect message for me to go internally to deal with my own stuff. And again, you can believe this or not, but when I've realized I am the cause of my life, when I realize that something wider than myself is been teaching me, that allows me to be in the driver's seat. Now, people can believe things like things are always happening to me and life's really harsh. And I know it's going to be really hard for some circumstances. But if you look at the lower ones in your life, like, oh, this person was like mean to me or rude to me, or this person keeps saying this, like maybe that's a lesson to love yourself more so you don't attract that kind of person. Because when you start putting yourself in the driver's seat, it feels more empowering. And again, I've got something in my eyes. I'm making this not a tear, but like a bit of dust or something. But when I can start seeing things are perfectly lining up for me, even though they can be hard sometimes, that makes me feel so much more empowered that life's working for me and that I'm in my own driver's seat. Again, I know this is going to cause some controversy, and it's I've taken a long time to get here. And I'm particularly tested when things get more challenging, right? But like everything is perfect, and realizing then the control piece that I absolutely have no control over anything. Like there's a saying that goes, relax, nothing is under control. Because it never is, right? Like we can lose our job in an instant. We can lose a relationship in an instant. Someone can lose a life. And I hate to break it to you, but these things can happen. So there is nothing under control. Now, does that mean that you go, oh, I don't give a shit like about anything and sit on the sofa or just like quit your job right now? No, of course not, right? Live in the world. But when I realized that actually all I can do is focus on being me and doing what I can, that feels a lot better. And I'm going to give you some tips on that. Now, again, like this is just my perspective and the way I see it. Again, you can agree or disagree, but I'm here to just state my truth and what I believe and what has helped me. You know, we're not going down a political or religion hole, like rabbit hole here or anything like that. I'm just talking about, I believe like life, like some people are quite spiritual. I've got kind of that within me because I've seen evidence of it actually things showing up and going certain ways when certain things happen. But again, I'm not going to press that on anyone's belief system. You can believe whatever you want. But I notice when, for example, I'm in a good state, I'm working my energy, I'm doing the inner work, well, good things show up. And when I'm like perhaps not treating myself as well, I'm like thinking very negatively, guess what? More problems arise. It's not a coincidence when you keep logging it down. But perfectionism, I believe everything is perfect in the sense that either it's going great, like what we want to receive is showing up, or there's a lesson in it. Now, the lesson may be very, very painful, but these lessons, the challenging stuff is often doing something, or it's there for allowing you to evolve. So something really harsh might happen, but it's allowing you to evolve as a human being. If you look at, and I'm going to use an inspirational example here, and what I mean by that, look at someone like Nelson Mandela. That man, like, is elevated at a level of love, right? He was just like loving, and he went to prison wrongly for years, arguably, right? Again, this is just an example, like because he could see, like, and that's an it. Yeah, he was able to use that level of like he's going to evolve his consciousness, right, and not get angry at other people, right? So that is what I would suggest as an inspirational example. There's many people who can show examples of overcoming like such challenges in our life. I just wanted to pause and ask a quick question. Do you sometimes find emotions overwhelming and challenging? And you really want to improve your mental health? You want to get your habits in order? Totally been there many, many times. And that's the benefit of Live Well Coaching. They offer so many different services and ways of improving your wellness, your well-being, your mental health, and really getting on top of your habits. Now, the great thing is they have a membership that you can be part of month to month. And if you use the code Johnny50, you can receive 50% on your first 3 months off. All you got to do is click in the link in the show notes below. That will apply that 50% off if you use Johnny 50. Now, let's get you back to the show. And again, it's not about being like, oh, someone's just broken up with me. Oh, well, this is my evolution and I'm not going to feel sad or hurt. No, feel the emotions. Do not like push emotions off. But like in the bigger picture, but you could also, someone could be in victim for years. I know people who like their partner like cheated on them, and it's not a nice thing to happen, right? You need to feel it, right? I've been left for like another guy by the girl many times, like, and it's not a nice feeling, right? Not being directly like cheated on, but like someone was picked over me, right? Kind of thing, and it hurt, right? And I'm not saying like, okay, well, it's all for my evolution. I'm gonna feel good. No, I can feel sad, but I also know people who are like 5 years later. I was so hurt my last relationship that even though I want one, I'm not going to go out there dating, right? It's or finding someone else. It's like there comes a point where you got to ask yourself, do I want to move forward, right? Now I've gone on a bit of a tangent, I feel, on today's episode, but these are just some lessons from me. And again, it's an invitation. It's not telling you what to do. It's just an invitation. But perfectionism and control, as the theme of this thing, nothing's under control. And perfectionism, we are perfect as human beings, but our actions can't be perfect, right? Nothing's going to be 100% right. But if you start looking at things lining up for you in life to help you, whether that's a tough lesson or it's something going right for you and seeing it's all perfect, the lessons are there to guide you, often, I believe, to look internally, and they certainly have for me. That is huge when I've got to those places. So I want to go through a few practical steps here. Number one, I'm going to give you 5 to talk about working through perfectionism and control. Number one, know what you want and keep focus on it without importance. That means if you're like, all these challenges, I'm firefighting, all these things in my life are going on, and you have no direction, it's like you're just going to keep going in a cycle and you're probably not going to feel fulfilled. I know that's been like, I've had that in my life. I just like doing work. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going until I found time to sit with it. So know what you want. Like, what are your goals? We won't go into a whole like episode on goal setting or anything, but plenty of those ones. But like, know where you want to go. That's key. Not where you do not want to go. As I always say, if you're like, I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel like heartbroken. I don't want to feel alone anymore. That's not saying what you want. That is telling what you do not want. And your focus goes, your energy will go where your focus go. So your energy is going into feeling bad about those things. If you're like, I want a loving relationship. I want this amount of money in the bank. I want to be doing this as my mission. It's my passion. That is awesome. That's what you want. Get very clear on that. And then keep focused on it, even when challenges are coming up. It's not dismissing the challenges, practically deal with them, which is one of the other steps coming in, but just know where you want to go. Number 2, what can I actually do? Like within your control? That is a question I've asked myself. Okay, everything's going crazy about this. Like, for example, I wanted to make an appointment the other day and I was like, realized I couldn't contact them. And like the old me would have gone like, oh, I really need to get this appointment in. I really do. But I went, okay, I can't make the appointment today. I'll call in a couple of days when I'm able to, right? That's totally cool. That's a minor example. But like, what can you actually do? Just ask yourself that question. What can you actually do? And then let go of the rest, right? I know for me, like in a career sense of things, I'm like, I'm not going to get everything right. I'm going to miss things. But what can I do is I can take time to understand what's going on. I can take the actions, I can ask the questions, and then let go of the rest, right? Not just like sitting my back, but actually looking at what I can do. Number 3, deal with the outer world practically and the inner world emotionally. What does that mean? Make it more of a practice to not get so hooked on like the emotions that you don't take any actions, but also don't neglect them. So it's like you have a bit of a financial loss, right? Now, this is like what I would have done in the past would be like, oh my God, I feel bad. Oh, I've got so much anxiety right now. Oh, all this kind of thing, right? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel those emotions. There's a time and a place, but like practically it's like, okay, what can I do? Can I speak to the bank and stuff like that? Like my evolution, this isn't recent, but like this is when I had like evolved in terms of my emotional maturity. Like I remember like something challenging happened in my bank account and I was like, okay, this is a while ago. And I was like, right, okay, that's uncomfortable. I'm going to go and speak to them right now and have a conversation. That's all I can practically do. Lee? I'll feel what I need to later if I need to. It's like I've never been through a divorce, thankfully. And I know like people go through divorces, right? But people have to practically deal with it and then emotionally feel it. Now, the problem is if you practically deal with stuff all the time and don't feel the emotions, that can cause suppression. And then therefore that can be quite damaging. So allow yourself to have that not 50-50 balance, because it's going to be different for what you're going to need to do, but like allow yourself to practically deal with what you need to deal with whilst emotionally feeling it. A good example I've seen, having been in sales and coaching and things like that, is people who want to start like healing. Not all, this is not a generalization, but sometimes in this niche, and again, it's not generalizing because there's some people who kill it in this niche. Like people may be in the kind of the spiritual space, and I know, for example, I know someone very close to me who's into this space, and she is brilliant, practically brilliant in business, so intelligent and very, very tuned in with her emotions. Beautiful, right? But I know people in this space who are like, I really need to feel my emotions and like feel on this decision to move forward and what the best move is for me. And they do that so much they're broke, right? It's like there's a practical sense of action to live in this 3D world. Emotions are great to tune into. Do it, right? Especially when and if you're going through something like grief or loss of something, like a loss of a personal situation, you might need to feel that more than actually the stuff you're doing day to day. But like what I would say in terms of what we're talking about, perfectionism and control today, is make sure that you deal with the outer world practically. You're actually taking action in this 3D world, and emotionally, you're feeling what you need to as well. And like I say, sometimes you might just need to have a day where you like got so much to deal with that you actually practically dealing with the outer world, and then later in the evening or the next day or the weekend, you're like allowing yourself to process their emotions. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but in my experience, you need to do both. Don't live so much in the inner world that actually you forget about the outer world. Like my mentor says, you can't meditate your way into like riches, right? Meditate is great, but it's like all that's going to do is give you an eviction notice if you sat in your home all day and meditated, right? You know, you got to do stuff. That's the third one. Number 4, cultivate that relationship with yourself as a human being, that you are perfect. Tell yourself you're perfect. And the best way I found to do it is inner child work. Talking to myself like my 3, 4, 5-year-old child, because that's within me, because through childhood, we often go through a lot of experiences and emotionally take that on. And telling my child he is perfect as a human being, and I love him for that. Whilst I'm always going to improve myself, always working myself, but telling him perfect really helps. And saying some of our actions are going to be imperfect because we're human beings, but you are perfect as a human being. That has really allowed me to cultivate a really strong relationship with myself. And number 5, perfectionism and control. Log examples of your life when things have showed up for you, and actually start writing down, how did that come about? So maybe it was like suddenly like an unexpected tax refund came to you, or a bit of business came to you, or a career promotion came to you, or you met the love of your life, or whatever it was. And actually it's like, what were you doing in that moment? Like, were you trying to control it? I think it's very unlikely you were. Or did you just something show up? Because the more you can write down evidence of great things showing up in your life, I found personally, the less I've needed to be like trying to be like perfect and get everything right. Because I'm like, I can take action, again, practically living in the world and be myself and connect with me. But I know that things will show up and I don't need to try and get that control so much. So this has been today's episode. I know it's been a bit of a long one because I've really enjoyed talking about this and I'm really passionate about this, as you can probably tell. So again, just to recap through the points we talked about in terms of releasing perfectionism and control. Again, it's just me sharing my perception that everything is perfect, there's no such thing as control. Like if you allow things to see as perfect, showing how they flow, that's great. Not trying to get everything right all the time, because that's never going to happen. But at the same time, taking action. So number 1, know what you want. We always talk about that. Number 2, ask what you can actually do. Number 3, live in the outer world practically and inner world emotionally. Number 4, cultivate such a strong relationship with yourself, your inner child, that you are perfect as you are. And then number 4, log evidence of things showing up in your life. So I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for showing up today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.